probably the Industrial Revolution, when being busy was more valuable than being productive.
If I took this one piece of paper and I'm boxing it up, there's 5,000. If I just went one sheet at a time to put it in that box, I'm working hard and I can spread that out forever. But is that really actually being productive by doing it that way?
Work smarter, not harder.
Correct. Hey everybody, welcome back to the FIP Printing Pros podcast. I'm your host, Josh Dynison. With me, as always, Chris Lockwood. Today, what we're going to be talking about is working harder. Not always working harder is necessarily the answer.
Work smarter, not harder.
Correct. So basically, just to spin this off, let's just say for our industry, like if I took this one piece of paper and I'm boxing it up, there's 5,000. If I just went one sheet at a time to put it in that box, I'm working hard and I can spread that out forever. But is that really actually being productive by doing it that way?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but there's so many examples of that. I mean, you could literally just sit there on your computer and just go back and forth from emails and reading same emails over and over. But if you're not like trying to like quickly go through them, be productive, answering the ones that you want to answer or need to answer, there's so many different examples of like just doing busy work and not actually really being that same guy that sweeps that same corner over and over just because he's trying to look busy. Yep. Type of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, I spent 24 years in the Army, and I don't know at what point in history, probably the Industrial Revolution, when being busy was more valuable than being productive, right? And as we created the 9-to-5 job, because you know that used to not be a thing. There were no weekends, right? There was just you work, you got your job done, and you went and did other
More
things. And someone created the weekend, and then you had 9-to-5, and then someone created this other thing and overtime and all this kind of stuff. And I think that took away productivity because I've got 24 hours on my day. You have 24 hours in your day. Elon Musk has 24 hours in his day, but how is he able to get more done than we're able to get done? Right? How is he able to be more? Does he have like some magical time thing where he can stop? No, he's more productive with his time. And you hear the cliche, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Nobody really ever talks about what that means. There's a lot of different ways to do that. Number one, we've covered on a few podcasts, in the past, hire someone to do the things you don't want to do. That's number one.
Yep.
Now someone else is doing those mundane tasks. You mentioned in an earlier episode that, one of the first things you did was you brought on a bookkeeper and a CPA because that work was busy work. Not busy work, it's important, but it's work that has to be done, but it takes up so much time, especially if you're not an expert at doing it.
That's what I say, especially when you're not the person that really knows what they're doing.
So, so you can do that. And then I am a firm believer in working to a task, not to time. In the Army, you've all seen the people who have had to rearrange the rock garden, have washed vehicles in the rain, who swept the motor pool that was just swept the hour before and will be swept in another hour, simply because no one wants to let people go home because, oh my God, maybe they might enjoy their time, right? Maybe I might not get something done that doesn't need to get done.
Yeah.
Work. Being busy does not make you productive for sure.
Also, I think in the entrepreneur side of things, a lot of these people that are successful talk about you need to work constantly, work until, because that's the only way to be successful and things like that. I'm not of that mindset. Especially I feel like nowadays with so many tools at our disposal, AI, outsourcing, VAs, like there's so much more that you could hand off and do. We kind of talked about that a little bit the last podcast as well. But that you don't necessarily have to do so many things and stay so busy constantly that you could have things working for you in the background. And again, the smarter, not harder, mentality is, and it's things even our company, we weren't doing for a long time now, before they never did it before I came into play. Now we're starting to implement a lot of these things, working in the background. While we're not doing anything, we're still implementing new things that are doing those type of things as we speak right now. But that type of mentality of you work until, the wheels fall off type of thing, just to be successful. I don't think that's the true. Look at me. I still don't consider myself successful because I'm very I have such high expectations of myself that it's hard for me to even think that I'm even considered successful by any means. My bank account would also say that.
Well, you put a lot back into the business.
I've reinvested a lot.
Yeah.
Even personally, right now I have a rental property. Redoing that, I put so much money back into that as well. So there's a lot of things like that I'm doing right now while I'm younger, and that will eventually pay off in the long run. But again, I had that mentality when I had my first business, and I kind of had to, I mentioned this last podcast where I would work, sales 8 to 5, and then I'd come home and spit out quotes 5 to 10 till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock night. And it got to the point where I would feel burned out and things like that it would affect me long, that I was, so now that I feel like I've gotten a good balance, I also feel like I am actually during those 8 to 5 hours way more productive than what I was when I was working all those hours, because also I fine-tuned my tools that I work with. I'm also using more tools that help me be faster. Yeah. So I feel like now in that 8 to 5, I'm even doing more than what I was doing from the 8 to 10 o'clock at night now because of what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I think that's for people watching this, it's important to understand. We're not talking about not doing work. We're not talking about, I just got to do a couple things and, or I don't need to work hard to be successful. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is being busy does not equate to being productive. You can be busy for 12, 14 hours a day and not get anywhere. Mm-hmm. Or you can buckle down and be very strategic and very specific about the task that you're doing that leads you to greater levels of success. That's what's more important. Mm-hmm. Not how many hours you spend doing something, but are you working towards those things that make you success? And are you doing the things that will bring the greatest value? So I'm gonna tell a story that I heard on a reel the other day, and then I'll give an example as well. So this guy hired an employee. Now he's in the a service industry, plumbing or something like that. He hired this guy. He's like, hey, I liked him. He seemed like he was going to be a hard work and all this kind of stuff. And I gave him a job to do, and it took him 6 hours to do it. And he come to me and says, hey, boss, what do you got anything else for me to do? I still got 2 hours left. I want to make sure I get a full 8 hours. And he goes, dude, you finished an 8-hour job in 6 hours. Go home. He goes, but I need the other 2 hours. He goes, do you think I'm not going to pay you for 8 hours of work just because you did it in 6?
Yeah.
So that's a lesson to employees and to employers is what's more important to you as an employer? Is it more important to you for your employee to be there for 8 hours? Or is it more important for them to get an 8-hour job done to standard in less time? Now, if they're able to get it done, say they get an 8-hour job done in 6 hours, you got two choices now. Number one, you can pile on and give them more stuff to do for the next 2 hours, or you can pay them for 8 hours, send them home early, give them that little bit of reward, especially if it's something that they're not going to be able to complete in that 2 hours anyway, and don't give them busy work.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if there's maintenance that needs to be done, if there's training that needs to be done, yes, you can take advantage of that time, but think about it on the flip side of that, because if you reward them, pay them for that 2 hours, and let them go home early, what do you think is going to happen the next day or the next day after that? Or if you're one of those people who's like, hey, you're really good, I'm going to pile more onto you, and then you have an employee over here that they have an 8-hour job to do, but it takes them 12 hours.
Yep.
What do you think is going to happen to that really good employee? They're going to turn into that really bad employee really damn quick.
Yep.
So I heard that story the other day, and it's, it fits right in what we're talking about. But again, thinking that you have to work 12, 16 hours a day is going to make you successful. It won't if you're not doing the right things. And just like you pointed out, when you started outsourcing some of that other stuff, you found that you're actually more productive in less time. And that should be everybody's goal, to do that.
Yeah.
To give you an example, so I do woodworking on the side. I enjoy doing it. It's kind of a hobby. I do make a little bit of money doing it, but it's more fun for me to do. Like I build U.S. flags, I build storage racks out of wood. I love doing it, right? But what I'll do when I get an order in, instead of just building that one thing, right? Because there's a lot of prep work that goes into it. I got to cut down a lot of raw material and get it prepped and all that. I will actually, because it takes less time to do multiple sets of the one thing than it does just to do one at a time.
Yep.
I'll actually cut down a lot of the boards I need. Let's say I'm going to build a U.S. flag. Instead of just cutting down the stripes for one flag, I'll cut down the stripes for 5 flags. I only got to build one, but I'll cut them down for 5, and then I'll set those on the shelf because once I'm in that rhythm, I can knock it out because it takes about 10, 15 minutes to get everything set up, get all the wood prepped, get everything measured out, and then you start cutting. Well, if I'm doing that, I might as well just take another board and run it through, do another, because I can knock that out really quick. I'm being more productive, and I'm actually spending less time prepping for the next time I'm gonna build one.
Yep.
So that's just an example of how you can work smarter and be more productive, but I'm not spending any more time doing it.
Yep. And I think that another key to trying to not, overwork is because I think, in my opinion, that you need the rest to refuel.
100%. Bodybuilders will tell you that all the time.
I kind of mentioned a little bit how, that, if it helps me when I do rest to actually the next day come back more motivated to continue working rather than if I stayed up super late the night before, I may be dragging the next day because now I'm like, oh, I've already worked all 12 hours yesterday or 15, whatever, and now I got to do another 10, 15 today, so that rest has allowed me now to, instead of that task that would normally take me, if I was refueled, an hour, takes me 3 hours because I'm also not mentally there and everything like that because I'm dragging to, I got to do this more,
Well, it takes you an hour just to get started.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of getting right to it. Yeah.
I've even just, even we talked about the days where I don't want to necessarily even be around people or talk to people or, things like that. Those, that is like I take way longer to do tasks that day. So if I'm also adding on top of that the fact that I didn't get my proper rest and things like that on top of it, that could affect me as well. So cutting down all that kind of stuff is a big deal. And another thing for me personally, this is a big one for me. and I didn't do it the first, so I'm now on 8 years of ownership. And my first, I would say 4 or so years, I'm such a frugal person that I just worked, slept, worked, slept, worked, slept. Didn't really do much extra things because I wanted to save money. And plus, also at the time, I wasn't paying myself, so that was a factor.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is I have now gotten to the point where I'm a sports fanatic, and so I reward myself with different sporting events. Or my wife and we have annual passes to SeaWorld, which also like does SeaWorld, Busch Gardens, Aquatica, and Adventure Island. It's all like when you get one of them, you get all of them.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't, because honestly, if you go to SeaWorld once, basically we paid a little bit more just to get the annual pass. So we did that, and we love now just like on the weekend, just going to do one of those things. Or Gator season, football, basketball, gymnastics, we go to all those. And again, rewarding myself for the hard work I do and taking the time to go do those things, vacation, whatever it is, with your family. That rewarding myself has helped me, again, with my refuel to be what I need to be in those moments, so that I'm not just overworking.
Another important piece of that, and I think this is overlooked a lot of times, is the time to think and to be able to solve problems or see problems for what they were. I know, a lot of times when we're stressed or we're overworked and all that, like there might be a major problem. It's like, oh crap, how do I solve this? How do we fix this thing? How do we get this, whatever working? I run into that a lot when I'm building some kind of custom piece. I'm like, how in the hell am I going to do this? And so I have to take a step back from it, and I have to distract myself with something else. Like we got Disney World and we have Universal passes. So, maybe it's a day trip down there to just to clear your head from that. And it's so crazy how, when you've got some kind of issue, you've got some kind of problem, trying to figure out how to use a new piece of technology or make some gadget fit together, or build this thing, or fix this customer's problem, or solve, help this employee with this, but the answer doesn't come to you. But when you take that step back, and then, I couldn't tell you how many times I've woken up in the morning going, holy shit, the answer is so simple. Like, it's so easy to do X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. Because you're not so close to the problem. You're not so stressed and overworked on it that you can actually take a step back and figure out how to do whatever it is you were trying to do.
Yeah. I think that kind of the rewarding / what you're talking about as well, kind of goes with getting the personal side of things in your life together. Because if you're just working so hard to almost like keep yourself away from that, maybe there's some issues at home, whatever the case may be, and you're avoiding them. So you're just working harder, or you're working so hard you don't even have time to establish relationships with people or anything like that, which those can refuel you. And if you're trying to also avoid like conflict at home or anything like that, instead of just facing it and getting it figured out, done, whatever that is, maybe it means ending that relationship, whatever. I mean, getting that resolution instead of avoiding it. Ultimately, especially once you finally do find that person that you can really come home to, the kids, everything like that, that involves family, or even friends, for that matter. Before I found my wife, I had some amazing friends that would refuel me, that hang out with them. And the balance I found, especially in life and entrepreneurship and things like along those lines, like even if it was just, like you're saying, woodworking, like those things that fulfill you in some way. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person. Whatever that is, that you need to find those things or people to surround yourself with, so that you aren't just so locked in on work. And maybe you are. Maybe that is what makes you happy, and you're fine with that. And you may be a rare person like that. And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy work. I've gotten to the point where I really do enjoy growing a company and trying to do all that. However, there are moments when I need that like almost release because it's so stressful.
Well, if you make that your identity, that's where the struggle can come in, and you've mentioned balance a couple of times, and I want to give my theory on work-life balance. I used to, the way it was always presented when you hear work-life balance, it was more like 8 hours at home, 8 hours at work, 8 hours sleeping. There's your balance. And I don't think that's it at all. I think work-life balance is when you're at work, be at work, be productive. If you're just being busy, your work is not in balance. Mm-hmm. Now, is that your fault as the employee, or are you in a job that just requires a warm body for 8 hours a day? And if that's where you're at and you're not satisfied with that, you need to make a change. There's multiple ways to make a change. You can change jobs. That's one way to do it. The other way is to make yourself, make that job more than just that mundane job. Like I explained in an earlier episode about the Fred factor. Become value to your customers, but find that balance at work. Again, if you're just there to be a warm body for 8 hours, that's not balance. But if you're being productive, that is. And if that's 12 hours a day, it's 12 hours a day. Mm-hmm. If it's 4 hours a day, it's 4 hours a day. It doesn't matter what it is, but when you're there, be there and be productive. When you're at home with your friends and family, be present with friends and family. Whether it's an hour in the evening with your kids, whether it's 4 hours, 3 hours on a Friday night date with your spouse, be present in that moment so that you have balance in your life. And then have that time for yourself, have that hobby, have that time to sit and think, to read, to whatever it is. Have that, be present in that moment. Don't bring work into it. Don't bring family into it. Don't bring work to your family. Don't bring your family to your hobby unless part of your hobby is with family. That's fine. Like ours is going to the theme parks and everything. Perfectly acceptable. And then, most importantly, and this is becoming more and more, I hear more and more influencers, stuff like that pushes, get sleep. Get good sleep. Figure out if you're not getting good sleep, figure out why, get good sleep. This whole, I don't need but 3 hours, 4 hours a night, that's bullcrap, because it's not about what you think you need mentally. It's what your body needs. Yeah. Your body needs that 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep. Just biologically speaking, it needs that. So, there's a reason that cheetahs can run so fast, but for short bursts. It's because they save up all of that energy because they sleep most of the day. Because their main job is going out and catching dinner, right? Well, we don't, we have 16 other hours in a day that we need to be present in, so we need to get that good rest. So to me, that is what true balance in life is. Being present, being productive in, family, your alone time, your hobbies, work, and sleep.
I agree with that. For the most part, the only thing I would say is that if you do, because as an entrepreneur, sometimes things do happen after hours. You need to be available for if you're on a vacation, but something happens that you need to address because a machine went down, but nobody has the number to get a hold of the guy but me or something.
Well, obviously, like I know people in the medical field that they're on call on the weekends, right? So what I mean by don't bring your work home is if you had problems at work, and you didn't solve them while you're at work, you're not going to solve them when you're at home. Yeah. So don't try not to worry about them. Try not to let them affect or whatever. I remember when my kids were little. I was in recruiting, and I was in leadership positions. So there was always an issue, 100% of the time. And I used, when my soldiers would call me, I would be like, okay, they got like 2 minutes. That's what I tell them. You got 2 minutes. What's the problem? And I finally trained them to like, look, unless it's something that has to be solved right now, don't call me till tomorrow. Right? Shoot me a text. I'll look at it when I look at it. But this is my family time. And I would tell them the same thing. Look, I'm not going to call you when you're off. I'm not going to call you on a weekend just to chat. If I call you, know that it's important, know there's some kind of real problem, and we need to fix it real quick. So, yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
You can't, things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But what you shouldn't do is bring those problems home. If you got problems at home, you shouldn't bring them to work.
Yeah.
You got to
Definitely that.
Yeah, and if you have problems at home, do the right thing. Tell your boss, look, I need a day. I need to fix this thing, right? So yeah, I agree with that caveat you got there.
I will say if the employee is having, stuff going on at home, that's where leadership comes into play. If you can
100%.
recognize that and also have that open space for them to be able to come to you so that you can, again, goes back to, we've talked about it a couple times on the podcast, where understanding your employee, what their needs are, and how they tick and things like that. So if they've got issues going at home, whether it be health, whatever it is, knowing those things, and so you know how to be there for them is huge. But also coming back to the hard part for me, and I can't speak for every entrepreneur, but for me is so I won't bring like it home in the way like I'm going to take it out on my wife because I've got stuff going on at work that is stressful or anything like that. But it is extremely hard for me, especially the last couple of years when I was all the struggles we had, and to now just go home and now not think about that stuff because it's always on the back of my mind because I was worrying constantly like I wasn't paying myself, so now I'm not like bringing extra money home. I wasn't able to. I was worried about maybe having to lay people off, and all those kind of things, and not getting told no by all these banks for your refinance. So like I have all these things like, okay, what's my next step? How am I going to fix this? How am I going to do this? So like shutting that down in my head, what is extremely hard. So I know what you're saying, like, and I definitely don't ever bring it home in a way that it affects your family life. But I think my wife would even say she could tell, even if I tried to hide it.
Yeah.
Like I never tried to hide or like make it obvious or take it out on her or any kind of way. But she knows me and like my normal self, how I am when I'm stressed, when I'm not
Yeah,
stressed.
but you didn't use it as an excuse to withdraw.
Correct.
Or to not participate in what was going on at home.
I think having I think this goes for anybody, but especially for an entrepreneur or when I was a police officer, like, something along those lines that like having somebody that you can confide into and be there for you is extremely important, and lean on. That to me has been big, and even just having the understanding, even the fact that like, I was working all these hours, but I wasn't getting paid. And so having somebody that has your back and understands the long-term vision of what I'm trying to accomplish here,
for sure.
and supporting me despite, because even like when I had that conversation of like, hey, I'm gonna have to take a pay cut, it means may have to lean on you more, financially speaking, than we have. Are you okay with that? And conversations like that with which my wife was a champ with that. Like she didn't even hesitate, didn't make me feel less like a man or anything like that because I wasn't going to be getting a paycheck for a while or anything along those lines. So
It was good.
yeah. So to me, that open dialogue and communication, even when you do have stuff going on at work, and just being able to be that sounding board for them or for the entrepreneur or husband or wife, is huge.
Yep,
So
absolutely. So,
but
yeah, again, I don't want people to confuse the message here. It's not about not working hard.
yep.
It's not about not having to put in a lot of hours. It's about whatever you're doing, it needs to have a purpose, and it needs to be focused on your success, not on just being busy.
Correct.
And a lot of times I've seen people use the excuse, I'm too busy. Then instead of saying, taking what do we used to call it? A time inventory.
Oh yeah.
Take a time inventory. And what that means is take an honest assessment, like truly track what you do every day for a week. And it takes a lot of brutal honesty with yourself. A lot of brutal honesty.
Yep.
And what you'll learn is you spend about half of your time doing things that not only are they not productive, they're not even related to what you should be doing. And when you do that and you're like, holy shit, I spent an hour scrolling on TikTok. I spent another hour playing a game on my phone. I rearranged the glasses in my cabinet. I spent, 30 minutes looking for this one sock because I couldn't find the match to it. And when you start adding that up, and if you just look at a 40-hour work week, and 20 hours of that was spent not doing anything geared towards work.
Yeah.
And not productivity. That's the point we want to get across here. It's not about the number of hours, right? It's not about whether or not you're working hard. It's, are you being productive with your time? So take that time inventory. See what you come up with. Every time I do it, I'm like, man, I gotta make some changes.
Yeah, so that'll wrap it up for this episode. Again, thank you guys for watching, and like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And next time every Wednesday at 4:00, we release one of these. And if you comment, we'd love to have a conversation with you guys. Until next time, let's grow together.
It's time to step up, yeah, it's grind time, no more letting up, no, running faster, further, no more running up, yeah, giving my all, no more giving up, listen to me, step, it's time to step it up.